Hi, everybody. I decided to do something different today, which is a bit of a personal experience sharing with you with a couple of lessons that I've learned along the way that also might benefit you. I'm right now in our back garden. As you can see, it's a place that we're still refurbishing, but it's a place of tranquility and peace. And I think it's important again in life that we find our ways to really come to ourselves and be peaceful and be congruent. And with congruency, I mean connecting the head and the heart. And especially in a Western society, we sometimes get a little bit too much up here and not enough here, and we kind of shut it off. And that is really a problem because that's a disconnect. And a disconnect always causes issues, and issues in the sense of recurring patterns of problems that keep popping up in our life, just as feedback to let us know that we slid off, we got off track. And the feedback is there to remind ourselves to basically own up to the disconnect that we have created, and that it also gives us the opportunity to do better, to do different, to restore the connection between head and heart. And as we do, I found time and time and time again that things really change for the better. But also, if we don't do it, you know what? Life keeps treating you on the same old experiences until the penny drops, you get it, and you own up to it. And I think, again, I'm sharing all this here today with you guys because I just had a very meaningful conversation, to some extent a bit tough, with a really good friend of mine, a very close friend of mine overseas. And he just raised something that had to be said. And it just basically confronted me with something that I had turned a blind eye to. And it is basically, this friend of mine has many, many moons ago has helped me out with a purchase of a property, actually our home. And I actually failed to actually, do something financially speaking to pay him back in a meaningful way. And look, this is one of the things that I certainly have been working on, which is honoring, let's say putting structure to money and doing what I've got to do in that department. And again, I just want to be open and raw and real with you guys. It's not too scripted, as you can tell. I haven't got a teleprompter in front of me. I haven't even got, let's say, notes that I've taken, because I just thought, let me just really show you the real raw me. Because often people say, hey, Bram, you always look so happy and cheerful and chirpy, and you're also always so energizing, and it's great to be around you. And you know what, guys, again, letting you know, I'm not always like that. Like you, I have my demons. I have my baggage of the past. I've got certain things to do something about, because there's certain thoughts that I've put in my mind and I accepted them as true. And it's just a perception. And they're not always serving me, these thoughts. And equally, there's certain things that I've shut out of my heart. And it's sometimes really good to face the truth for what it is without judging it. Yeah. Because often we do that. It's easy to be happy and, have great days and success and, wins and that sort of stuff and celebrate those. But you know what? I found that the biggest blessings comes from those things that look initially as our problems. They initially challenge us. They are hard, yes. It's easy to turn a blind eye to them. I'm the first one to put up my hand for them. And it's really about owning them too. And as you basically integrate, the stuff that is the rosy stuff, along with the stuff that is the more challenging stuff. When you integrate it, guess what you're doing? You're reconnecting your head and your heart. And when the two are open, when the two are fully connected, and there's a connection, not only between the fact that there's information going back and forth, but what you think and what you feel is in harmony with one another. Guess what? That's where all the time, that's the reason why you have been successful, because you had unison. You had something working in a synergy. You got momentum happening. You got in the zone because what you felt and what you thought were connected. And I really invite you today to just face the truth for what it is. Own the traits of both good and bad. Don't just think that you are only positive and cheerful or only depressed and negative. You know what? You got both, just like I do. And if there's anything to be done, take stock once in a while, reflect, say what has to be said. And also when somebody else tells you what has to be said, just listen to it without judging and accept it for what it is. And when you then, let's say, take the action with that, for example, one of my learning lessons has definitely been to manage money, deal with money, and do it in a constructive way. And it continues to be, in a way, a journey for me today. But as you really take the full blessing of the learnings on board, you integrate it and you reestablish that connection between head and heart in that department, you start seeing that the actions will create momentum. And as a wheel that is really starting, that you put in motion, basically, what initially was hard, it starts to get more and more traction over time. You and I know it. You and I know that. And sooner or later, you start seeing that things will start happening for you. And you know what? Just letting you know again, the big domain for me has been, that's like I said, money. And I remember, let's say, this friend of mine reminded me of a moment when I was really going through the deep valley. I wouldn't say of death, but the deep valley of wallowing in self-pity, not really having found my way, being disconnected, having lost my way, having no serious vision, and just really feeling stuck and lost in a way. And back in those days, I actually spent some time back overseas just to reconnect with my roots and see my friends and my family, because I needed some sort of supportive environment. And this is many years ago now, but I even forgot about it until this friend of mine raised it again today. And he reminded me that I said to him back then that all of my belongings were sitting in a car that I parked at the airport prior to jumping on the plane to go back to Europe. And when he just told me that, even now, I almost start getting tears in my eyes, because that's sometimes the stuff that we go through in life. You know, we have all our challenges, our curveballs, our, you know, just stuff that happens along the way. And when I just now reflect, this is probably now 12 years later, you know, I live in a beautiful home. I have a home. Back then I didn't. The car that my stuff was into back then wasn't mine. I borrowed it. And so, look, I'm not saying this here now to boast and all of that sort of stuff, because like I said, my journey continues just like yours does. And I still have my learning lessons, and I still have to, you know, put structure to things and own up to it and face it and do something about it. And not just look for the stuff that is easy, but also look at the stuff that is hard to admit. And I just want to give you this video here as a message that everything is okay. Everything that happens to you is happening to you for a reason, and it's there to help you grow. And as soon as you accept that as truth, you're on a path of rediscovery and of growth and of achievement, and so on and so forth. So whether it's personal stuff that you're dealing with right now or business stuff that you're dealing with right now, know and trust that the world is conspiring to help you. And you will also always keep getting the experiences and having people pop up in your life that treat you in a certain way to help you grow. And seriously, this is really one of the biggest blessings in life. Don't just judge stuff for people for what they do or say to you that you initially thought of as being unfair or not appropriate or not very kind or any of that, because really that's judgment. You're not getting the message when you're going there. And it's a space of gratitude where everything changes for the better. So I hope this serves you. If I can just also share one more quick example with you of something that I experienced back in the days when things were really tough. I remember when my business was really not working for me at a certain time, where I was looking for a way out because I just couldn't make it work. And mainly due to the business model, I was selling time for money, which is not a viable option, really. If you think about it from an entrepreneurial perspective, you need a better business model. But back in those days, as I was looking for a way out or a better way, and the finances were not really coming in recurringly from the business. And of course, I had by then a family to look after and, you know, a mortgage to pay and actually another one to look after as well, and all sorts of stuff. You know, we sometimes got to do what we got to do. And to again show you that I'm not always the cheerful, happy, bouncy, highly energized, and whatever you want to call me kind of Brahm. I remember exactly just scratching my what do you call it, my pride together, swallowing my pride really, to go to an organization where I would be basically getting paid $25 an hour to scan items. It was stock take. So basically scan items for stock takes, so that a store would know, a retail shop would know how many items they still had left of each, and that they could basically then put that into their financial analysis for the year. And I remember doing that like 3 to 4 hours in one shop and just driving around to shops while I was trying to get my business back up and running. And just letting you know, if you're a fellow entrepreneur and it has been a bit of a tough ride, or you're right now in it, or you're about to head into one, just know that it's always there to help you grow. Yeah, I've been there too. I'll probably will continue having here and there some of the challenges along the way. And you know what? It's all good. It's there to help you grow. I'm so grateful that that organization was there, because it taught me to be humble, not to be too much self-absorbed. It taught me to overcome pretentiousness. It helped me to, put my ego back in check. And sometimes we all need that, a bit of a shakeup. And that's why those initial challenges in your life are there to help you grow and soar and thrive. And so I hope that served you. Any thoughts or questions, drop me below a comment. I'd love to hear from you too. And there's also a few resources that will be popping in below this video to some of my programs and some PDFs that you might be able to download and so on and so forth. So go and check them out. And again, leave me a comment because I love hearing from you. Okay, have a good day. Thank you for joining. Cheers.